Hey, everybody. Oh, one of you here. Okay, Michael's here already. See, okay, Michael. Um, I'm just getting ready. We have, 10 seconds until it starts. Class is in session. It's just me and you right now, but I'll do the algorithm tease. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, even hit the thanks button. Hit the thanks button down below. It's right there somewhere. And Steve's here. Thanks, Steve, for coming. And I don't know who's coming after the last 3 losses, but last week we actually did pretty well. More people watch us on replay than watch live. Whatever doesn't matter to me. So I've just finished 2 podcasts and a story and everything else. So we're getting there on this. I'll let everybody wander in the room. Hopefully somebody else is coming. Alton's here. Good, Alton. I have your question. After 3 Mets losses and 1 Commanders loss. Yeah. We're going to talk a little Nats maybe and a little Maryland Terps on this. I don't know if the Commanders have a prayer anymore, Alton. That's your business. Up to it, not mine. And Michael, it's harder and harder to maintain enthusiasm. Well, I guess you have to start with it. So maybe that's why it's not me. So, all right, I've been hitting it. I do a 36-hour football run basically from Sunday mornings to now. This is the end of the 36 hours of football. And then I can do something else tomorrow. What am I doing tomorrow? Tour guide. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I know that I know it's late and I know you're weary, as the song goes. But what did you really – I don't know. After the preseason, I thought they'd be a 7-win team. Might be about what they are in the end. 6. Matter of fact, I did a Twitter poll on my Rick Snider's Washington. On YouTube poll. 62% of more than 500 voters. You guys, a lot of you vote. 62% figured a 5 or less wins this season. That's a little pessimistic for me. Only 5% thought they would win 10 games. That's a little optimistic for me. But pretty much 2/3 of everybody figured it was easily a losing season. I don't know. It is in football, man. It's a roller coaster. Some weeks are diamonds, some weeks are stones. And you just have to kind of stay medium, as Coach Zorn used to say. But, yeah, it's been pretty rough. David Rogers is here. All right, what's my favorite adult beverage? After it became legal, back when I drank, you could drink at 18. So by the time I got to 21, I was kind of burned out. I started at like 15. So don't tell anybody out in that. But don't drink a lot much anymore. If I drink a beer, I tend to drink whatever's on tap that they have local. Try something different. Don't really drink hard alcohol anymore. I have enough health issues without being a drunk. I live a boring life. All right, so here we go. Michael says, I see the point of winning meaningless games at the end of the season. It's not like they're going to save anyone's job. Really interesting thing. I mean, last week I wrote a column for 106.7 The Fan that I write for, the sports talk station here in Washington, where I said 2 things are true. Ron was the right person to hire, and now it's time for him to go. All right, I think he did some really good things stabilizing the franchise, so I'll always owe him for that. And now that's all been done, and now it's just about winning games, and I don't see it. I don't see it in the staff. I don't see the urgency. I don't see the burning. It was interesting today that Ron Rivera in his press conference used the F word and the S word, and he's not one to swear publicly. I don't know privately, but it's publicly not. I watch every press conference the coach says for years and years so that I can tell when something's different. Little things like, saying a curse word speak volumes when you've watched the guy all the time. And to me, that means Ron's getting pretty frustrated about things. But he's getting frustrated about all the second guessing and criticisms and those things. And I thought, that's not what you should be getting upset with. You should be getting upset that your players are underperforming, and so is your coaches, and not get a free pass of, he says, well, until we get the people we need, it's not going to be good enough. Excuse me, you're the personnel guy. I don't want to hear about the parties. So this is all on you too. And if you don't have the taste for it anymore, the NFL is unforgiving, man. It will suck you dry. And if you let it do it, then you have nothing left. You're going to get beat all the time. So I thought that was a pretty telling thing by Ron, but I'm not sure he's gone by the end of the year. Not sure. I'm not sure what Dan's really up to. I saw the nice picture of Dan with Jerry at midfield before the game. We're all friends and rivals, whatever. Jack and Cook wouldn't have done something like that. George Preston Marshall wouldn't have done something like that. So, Lombardi wouldn't kiss any other, his rival coach before a game. So I was pretty surprised by that. Scott Lowe wants to know, who would I replace Rivera as head coach? Don't know the name yet, but I have a feeling whoever's next, Snider has always done this with his coaching. Goes from one side to the other each time. Hard case, easier guy. Hard case, easier guy. Well, Ron used to be known as a hard case. I'm not really sure that's the point. But I think they'll go with a young offensive mind like everybody else. Now, the question is, who's finding this guy for Snider? Because he doesn't know who it is. I mean, I would say maybe he takes Kansas City's offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who's not young, but certainly very talented and deserves a head coaching job. I could see that. Now, does he want to come here and not leave Kansas City? I don't know. I mean, we all saw Mahomes yesterday. That was like a wizard playing on the field. Why would you want to come here for that? But, they're going to go with somebody, I think, young and offensive, a McVay, one of these guys. That would be my guess, but I don't know who it is yet. All right, Steve says there's more questions than answers for 3 years is enough. True. I think after 3 years, they've regressed. And the defense particularly has stunk at times. Their big mistake, we can see it now, is they did not keep Brandon Sheriff. Okay, that was awful pricey, but you could have done it. And they didn't keep Eric Flowers, who had a very productive year. You replaced them with two old guards that haven't done a thing and now been hurt. When Trey Turner is pulled from the game during the game, you never see that with linemen. Never. That's how bad it was that Ron had to go put in, Sadiq Charles, who hasn't ever done anything either, but at least he's in one piece at the moment. I thought that was very telling, too, on there. Let's see. Marvin says, what's up? Hi, Marvin. Let's see. I'm just catching up some of yours. I doubt they could get anybody to replace Ron midseason, says Michael. Absolutely. Nobody's coming here to take losses on their resume. Coaches are very protective of their win-loss record. That's why Shanahan, he could have come midseason and replaced Zorn. He's thinking, I don't want to sit here and go 1-7 and add that to my total. So you won't get a coach during the season. But you'll get, afterwards, sure. There's only 32 jobs. Somebody will come. But you may not get who you want, like, Kansas City's coordinator. Okay. Let's see. Sheldon says, hi, Sheldon. Carolina salvage crew Ron would need to part with personnel duty and contributors to stay. I would say definitely they'll shed if he stays, they're going to shed Del Rio. There's no doubt of that. And maybe Danny wants to have the fun of firing both Norv and his son, Scott. But we'll see. You can't change two coordinators. And here's the other thing on coordinators. They know if the staff is in trouble, you've got to win this year, everybody's fired. They're looking for some stability, not a one-year deal usually. So that's why you don't get the great ones there either. Michael uses the blind reference on there. Okay, whatever. We used to say that a long time ago. Showing your age, Michael. Okay, Signal Shack says Butch is there. Okay, we need to put Scherzer back at guard when he returns and put Sadiq back on the bench. It might be true. I mean, Schweitzer's a better guard than Sadiq. I thought the run blocking, like you said, was decent. I mean, they had a pretty good average on there, but they had 2 seconds on an average for passing. It's not enough, man. That's just not enough. I don't know why my nose itches. Don't they say you're going to get money? That's it. It's money. Hit the thanks button and see if my nose is right about that. Anyway, some of you are cycling in new. The thanks button down below is just like a tip jar. YouTube came up with it during the recession for mostly musicians who would play songs that people wanted. It's like you tip the guy at the piano $5 to play your song. Okay, I'll talk about what you want for $5 or whatever. Can always use it. Old sports writers never die; they just go broke. Okay, so 9 revisions. Do you think NFL owners are quietly negotiating with Snider? How much would it take to buy him out? Well, probably $5 billion, maybe $6 billion. On there. There you go. Steve just hit the tip jar. Thanks. I should have a glass with dollars in it or something. Maybe I'll do that next show. 9 revisions. Would Cosby be better at guard? There's a lot of talk about that. He's not playing very well at tackle. He's letting people get around him. Doesn't have that, and that's what happened with Sheriff. They knew right away he wasn't a tackle. It's okay to bring him for a guard if that's what you are. Find good players. Play them wherever you got to play them. That's fine. All right. Nathaniel Daly says, as fans who've been dealing with Dan's BS for 25 years, nothing to show for it. He's become richer than all of us can imagine. Why do we bother? Because you love this franchise. I did a video last week on my daily videos. I do them in the morning and evening that said, nobody gets to leave. If this is your team, this is your team. I have to keep writing. You have to keep watching. That's the deal. You can't become a Cowboys fan or something else. The only time I ever give dispensation for somebody to leave the fold is if you're moving out of town to another city with a team and you want to be part of a local thing. So if you're living in Detroit and you want to be a Lions fan like all your neighbors, okay. But that's the only way. Everything else, we all got to stay here. We all got to go through it. My grandson got a Buffalo Bills Mafia blanket because his father's from Buffalo, married my daughter. He's a great kid, but I said, no, he cannot. He lives in Washington. He's not being a Bills Mafia fan. So I can't buy him Commander's gear, but somebody will. Sorry, we're all here. We have to do this. Thoughts on the Ravens choking again, says YRD. Well, hey, at least they're in the chase. Baltimore's a pretty well-run organization. Steve, I've been rooting for the same team since the early 70s, loyal to the end. Yeah. I mean, I once wanted to just quit the Wizards. I couldn't take it anymore. And then they drafted John Wall with the first pick and sucked me back in. But tough. It's tough being a Washington fan. Look at the Nationals. Since I said we talked about the Nats. The Nats are just finishing their worst year ever since coming to Washington back in 2005. They still have a couple games left to lose. I mean, Patrick Corbin had 19 losses. Man, it's hard to do that in the league. It was hard to watch them. It was like, who are these guys? And they're not very good, whoever they are. The Nats, I guess that's what happens when your owner says, I'm selling end of the year, and everything just is half price and goes. It's sad. But hopefully they'll get better with a new owner, whoever that may be. And Bruce says he's a Washington fan no matter what. See, I keep rubbing my nose. I guess maybe it's subliminal for hit the tip jar for me. Thanks button. All right. And Bruce, you're right about all that. Okay, Michael, all I can do is hope Dan becomes a real fan and realize he's the worst thing to happen to the franchise. So that's never happened. That's never happened. In his mind, things are going well. It's a big yacht, sailing the Med. He's away from everybody. I guess he's popular out in the Med. I don't know. Spider Monkey 304. Man, Spider Monkey 303 is the one you got to watch. But 304, okay. Honestly, we had a nice little run between the Caps and Nats. Yes, it was awesome. I mean, you got to see 2 championships. And, sometimes you think you're only going to get to do this once in your life. So I got to see it. I was happy. And I can tolerate the losing because we have seen the winning finally. And I saw the Wiz win a championship. So I was a kid. I think I was 18 or 19 when they won. But, it gets old sometimes. You can't break out of this malaise. Give us one team, Lord. One. I don't care which one. Pick one of the big 4 and win a title. We'll all go watch that at least. All right, so Michael said the Caps at least tried to stay on top. Yeah, I mean, they had a good long run, too. They still got Ovi. As long as Ovi's there, there's something to watch. Outlaw King is 757. Guess like the airplane. Will we ever see the Commanders win another Super Bowl? Well, I mean, you can never say never, but I'm 62. Just got my first Social Security check. Woo! I don't know if I live to see this or not, but I don't know. I hope we live for a little while longer. All right, Nick, does Brian Robinson do anything with this offense or the problem's too deeply rooted? Well, you need some run blocking, but I will say, all right, let's do the injury report today. So Rivera said that Robinson comes off that 4-week thing on Wednesday. Then they have 3 weeks to activate him. He's hoping that he plays on Sunday against Tennessee. Dotson has a hamstring, and Rivera said maybe a week or 2. Problem is next week's a short week. They're going to play Thursday night. So that probably means 2 games on that because it'd be hard to turn around and do it. But maybe skip Sunday's game and save them for Thursday because the Bears is definitely a winnable game. If you live in Washington, so you don't need Prime. What they did, the NFL did, is Prime carries it nationally, but the local outlets can always cover that team. So probably on Fox. But if otherwise, you can watch on Amazon Prime. Don't be an old person and say, where is that? So, all right. Sean says, I feel like we're in the shotgun way too much. I don't think they're in it enough because when you have 2 seconds to throw, it's hard to get behind center. Yeah, I thought the center they hired, bringing Nick Martin, did a decent job. When's Chase coming back? Marvin says, yeah, I forgot to say Chase. Larson is coming back this week. He's being activated. He got hurt last year. And Chase, Ron said he just needs more time. I'm not surprised. I mean, he had a serious injury. It's going to take a little longer, and you do not want to blow his rehab again, have him out here too soon. So I always thought midseason, and I think that might still be where it is. Okay. Michael says, I'm going to say they won't be the Commanders when they win another Super Bowl. Can we do another name change? Wow, that'd be interesting. Oh, if somebody new buys them, maybe. All right, Jessica. Oh, first timer. Oh, thanks for coming, Jessica. Follow me on Twitter. I appreciate that. Do you think Heineke's turn up? No, not yet. Not unless barring injuries. They're going to stay with Howe to the bitter end, and they won't play. I'm sorry, not Howe. Carson Wentz. They'll stay with Wentz to the bitter end. Would they play Howe some if they fall out of the playoff run? I don't think so. Coaches don't want to do that. They want to try and win every game because their win-loss record is sacred to them. Spider Monkey, Diami Brown is going to go off for 3 catches, 17 yards. All right. Well, I think he'll get more chance to play because Dotson probably won't on Sunday. So get your Diami Brown fantasy team up. Sheldon, to talk about extending guys like Sweat, re-signing Payne. Are you for keeping the band together? I would keep Payne. Montez has not particularly had a good season. He hasn't had a bad season, but he hasn't particularly had a good season. So I don't know if you really want to pay Sweat the money like that. And he could go elsewhere and do great, but I don't know. Michael was telling Jessica, hey, it takes a little while for the chat to catch up. Yeah, because I can only go so fast. So I think I'd have the chat going a little slower just so I can try and answer all the questions. Paul, why is Dan up in Dallas with Jerry but never at FedEx? I've been told that he is. Now, I use my binoculars to look inside of Dan's box, but I can't see all the way in the back. I can just see the front of who's sitting there. And I haven't seen him, but I've been told he's in the back. There's plenty of room, and it's not all seats back there, and you're having fun and drinking and talking to people and all that. So I guess he's been back there, but I've been told he's been at every game. All right, Sean, is Micah Parsons the closest thing to Ken Harvey since Ken Harvey? Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think he's better than Ken Harvey, to be honest. But Parsons is a great player. They can line him up everywhere. It's pretty, what they call a Swiss Army knife in a way. He can play a lot of spots too. All right, Hoodoo, I appreciate your videos. Thank you. I appreciate you watching them. Steve Moody, you mean they're throwing the Brown 8 times? All right, smart guy. Michael, they have about 6 players worth keeping. That's it. Okay, well, let's think. All right, we'll say Chase, Allen. There's 2 right there. Cameron Curl, 3. Dark Forest, I like a lot, but let's not put him on the list yet. So there's 3. You got Terry, Samuel, Dotson. There's 6 now. Charles Leno would be 7. I would keep Robinson, even though he hadn't played yet. That's 8. Logan Thomas, 9. No, I'm not saying they're Pro Bowlers. I'm just saying I'd keep those guys. As far as a trade, if somebody walked in the door and said, I want to trade for so-and-so, unless you're paying just silly money, I'm not giving you Terry. I'm not giving you John Allen. But anybody else, we'll see. What happened to Georgetown Trolley? Did they change up buses, asked Paul. I've seen the trolley around, but I thought it was them. I didn't pay enough attention, I guess. They do have the canal, the C&O Canal boat ride in Georgetown is back. So if you want to go down the canal, it costs a few bucks, but it's a 1-hour trip. It's a great thing to do. It goes way back to the old days. So bring your kids. I want to take my grandkids one day. All right. Let's see. Hoodoo says I don't trust Carson. They want to throw a pick every game. Well, he doesn't throw a pick every game. I'm not as down on Carson as you guys are at this point. Dojo Kodo asked, are we calling Jamin Davis a bust? Well, after CeeDee Lamb torched him a few times, I'm kind of losing hope. He's not quick enough to do this stuff. So ask me into the season. Any insight on front runners to buy the Nats? Asked Nathaniel. Well, I mean, you've all heard of the usual suspects. I know Leonis is very interested. I'm not sure I'm up for that. I think we'll go into season more as a product than a team. Look at what he's had. He put some money in the Caps. He's put money into Wizards, but no success. Great Watubi, thank you for the tip jar there at the thanks button. We're not a good team. You paid $2 to say that? Okay, $5 you can say they're really not a good team. 5 more adjectives. Okay, Michael's giving me 12 players. Okay. All right, Slam and Javis. Good evening, Rick. Thank you. If the Commanders have a 7-10, will Ron resign? Ron's not resigning because there's like $20 million owed to him. You try. That's why Zorn never quit. You want money to go. Can never have enough money. That's why we hit the thanks jar. That's why I'm here as a whore at the end of my career going, please tip me. Which the great Watubi threw in 5 and says, if Carson gets cut in the offseason, will be a starter again. Sure, it could be somewhere. I'm not saying he's going to be great at it, but he could be. It's hard to find starting quarterbacks. I watched Mahomes last night and just thought, wow, it must be awesome to have a guy like this. He reminds me of Sonny Jurgensen in a way, some of the plays he can make. Mojo, if Carson continues to struggle, put Heineke in. I just don't see it. I don't see him doing that. Hoodoo, forget the money on Wentz. Get back to winning games. We should play Heineke. Yeah, sorry, guys. I just don't see Heineke getting a chance. I don't think Ron will do it because that means that they failed with Carson. And they don't like to admit that. So coaches have egos. All coaches have egos, not just Ron. Paul says, I would keep Payne and Allen. Yeah, they got to pay Payne next year, but I would. He's playing very well. I think that Payne has played better each season, which is what you want to see. So I would keep Payne. I don't know. I wouldn't, ball on him. If it comes down to Payne or Sweat, I go Payne. All right, Michael says you have to pass protect for Wentz. They knew this when they signed him, and then they got a makeshift line. True. Jessica, okay. And what would be the change to Heineke to start besides Wendy getting hurt? Nothing. I mean, it would take an injury. I don't think they change otherwise. It's not like Heineke is the great hoop. I mean, he's a nice player. He's a great reliever and a spot starter, but he's not the long-term guy. Great Watubi threw in a 5. Thank you, Great Watubi. Jamin would not be a bust to pick the 3rd or 4th. True. All right, I'll give you that, but not for first. Non-revisionist, is Ron a product of prime Cam Newton? Well, yes, because Cam Newton it was really good and got him to a Super Bowl. Otherwise, Ron's career has been if they lose this year, it'd be like 9 of 12 losing seasons. So, but he made a Super Bowl, lost but made it. All right, let's see. Sean, if B. Robinson hits the ground running, who do you foresee Gibson's role being? A lot like it was against Jacksonville. Fewer times, really won't carry the ball, but they'll put him in space a lot more where he does better. And I think that would be a real win-win for everybody. Robbie, I think Carson gets benched when they out of the playoffs. I disagree. I just don't think Ron will bench him the way things stand now. Well, when would they be out of the playoffs? I don't know, around early December. And there's the thing. Carson Wentz, somebody had it today. If he plays 70% of his snaps, Washington next year will give Indy a 2nd-round pick instead of a 3rd. And that would be week 13, that if he just plays them all up to then. So that means 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 5 games there at stake if you keep them like that. And you could let somebody else play. And that's if they're 2-10, okay. But I don't see it. Let's see. Robbie thinks Carson gets benched. Okay. Mojo, Ron is stubborn. That would be his downfall. Well, that's pretty much all coaches, to be honest. Shanny, for sure. Shanny's worst enemy was himself. Schottenheimer's worst enemy was himself. But he was a good coach. Voodoo, I think Brian Robinson will make a difference, like I hope Chase will. Yeah, I'm with you on both of those. Be interested to see what Chase can do when he comes back. Alton, what's the highest number of viewers to watch one of your live chats? About 400 or so. What we had today, 52. We're doing okay so far. That's 400 people over the whole hour. But more people watch on replay than watch live. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it whenever you come. Like I say, you got other things you could go do, other people you could listen to. I appreciate you coming here. I'm amazed, quite honestly. My Twitter videos and YouTube are getting ready to hit the 9 millionth viewer soon for under 2 years. That astounds me. I'm an old newspaper man. This is all new to me. So I've had a lot of fun with it. Try Gibson at guard, says Michael. Okay, put down that beer. Great Watubi, this is Ron's roster. Absolutely. Yeah, when Ron said when we need guys, well, dude, you're the one picking them. What game will I pick the Commanders? Asked Paul. Probably Chicago game. I would probably take them there. Devontae says, I don't see B-Rob making a difference. I just think this dude could be good. Now, is he at 100% after what happened to him and all? I mean, you never know. That's an interesting thing. I mean, he was ready to go at the opener. It was I've seen many a time when I thought, wow, it'd been nice if they had Robinson there. All right, the Giants to turn around in offseason is a mark against Rivera and company, says non-revisions. True. I mean, they talk about it takes forever. Look, the Giants have made a big turnaround. Philly's made a big turnaround. It doesn't take forever. Look at Cincinnati last year. Doesn't take forever. Slam and Jammin' 87. Will Snider ever sell his franchise? No. It's feels like it's poverty curse franchise all around. Snyder's plan is to have his son take over one day. Now, his son, I don't know, is in his early 20s, and Dan's still in his 50s. But that's the thought. It doesn't always work well. I mean, look at Jerry. He ain't given it over to his son yet, or his daughter. I've met Jerry's daughter. She's a VP. She's smart as all. Really good classic woman. Okay, let's see. Steve says, should we try Jamin Davis cigar? What? Are we doing this again? Okay, stop it. And then, some of you were talking about Kime. John Kime, who's one of my best friends, has his show on Tuesdays, which is great. Thank God we're not going head to head. But John talks a lot of X's and O's more than I do. So it's two different shows. But watch John's show on Tuesdays here on YouTube. And don't tip him. Hit the thanks button for me. He doesn't have the thanks button because he doesn't have enough. I recently gained my 3,000th follower on YouTube. So I have to go back and look see who it was. But thank you who do. If you're not following me on YouTube, what are you waiting for? It's free. Just hit the subscribe button down there. I bet Chicago will be the favorites against us, said Grow like Tubi. Maybe like a -1 or something, but maybe. And Great White Tubi thinks the Giants will implode. Well, yeah, explode. They're not as good as their record right now, but they might win, 8-9 games. Only 4 games in, not thrown in the towel, says Devontae. Good for you. Good for you. This is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be, enjoying the process to some degree. People walk around today and say, I'm so depressed. Dude, move on. It's just a game for fans. Trust me, players are moving on. Bob says, no questions tonight. Just popped in to say hi. I appreciate you, Bob. Bob used to work for the team, and we're still friends. I don't know. What's it been, 30 years? Bob's getting old. I'm still looks the same. James says, maybe the son can run a team. Well, what the heck? Can he run it any worse? Devontae, our fans fail to realize we will not fire Ron because if Dan is still the owner, things won't change much. True. Non-revisions. Have you ever visited Fort Washington Fort? Yeah, starting in the 60s because I grew up in Accokeek right by it. So I've wandered that fort since the 60s. It's been a few years since I've been there. But I drive on the other side and see it. It's a great place to go visit. Fort Washington Park. It's about 10 minutes off the Beltway, off Route 210 in Maryland, just south of town. They built it. Never used it as a fort, though. Never used it for firing on anybody else. Any viable players to pick up on our O-line, asked Connor. Anybody good's already been signed. Any news on the stadium? Always get that. No. It's been quiet. As long as Dan's where he is, I don't think we're going to see anything this year. All right, Great White Two's been a fan since 72. Wow, okay. I'm 69, 1969. I'm not 69. All right, so Snider's son, Jerry, whose names were his grandfather, Dan's father, plays at Appalachian State. Yeah, if you watch that guy who does where Dan's plane flies, he has it every week when they go to Appalachian State. Nathaniel, new stadium talk seems to have gone silent. Yeah, I just think it's on hold until Dan's situation is clarified by the league, and Virginia's not doing anything until next spring at the earliest. Maryland's offer still on the table. If someone new buys this team, I could see DC saying, hold on, we have a room for you. Maybe. I think so. They're not for Dan, but for somebody else, maybe. Did I ever talk to Jack and Cook's son about why he didn't want the team? Asked Paul. Dude, we could spend an hour on that. I used to break all those stories back when that was going on. And I don't think John really wanted a team. I think he just wanted to drive the price up, really. And he got 10% of it as his inheritance. So I don't, and he started a winery and he's in Middleburg, but we don't talk anymore. I'm not interested. I'm sure he's not either. Okay. Can Ron and company fix this mess? Asked David. No, they created the mess, but I don't think they can fix it. That's the problem. Voodoo, a little bit of dumb in the me feels that we can go on a huge streak to win 11 games. You keep that faith, brother. Keep that faith. Keep you warm at night. Go for it. Why not? I mean, why would you want to be depressed and think my team stinks? I can't watch them anymore. It's better to be fun. It's a diversion from other things in life. I have lots of problems, but none of them are worried about watching football. Chicago will be home. They have a better defense, says Great White TV. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't like their quarterback as well. James, if Ron goes, who would the team would go for? An experienced coach or a young one? Okay, average person watches this about 15 minutes, so that's why sometimes for those of you who do watch a long time, that's why we answer the same question over and over, because we recycle through people. And I think they go young offense. I don't know if there is a good young defense. What good coach would want to come to this organization? Asked Great White Chibi. That's part of it, but sometimes you don't have choices, so you do come. Amazon's rumored to be interested in buying the Commanders. Yeah, non-revisionists, that's been around for a while. I think if they were really going to do it, they'd have done it. James, I think Jack didn't want John to get the team. Nah, it wasn't so much that, but Jack and Cook left all the proceeds of this to a foundation he created, the Jack Kent Cook Foundation. Google it, and it provides scholarships to people. You don't have to be poor or anything like that. They do a lot of grad school scholarships and all. So if you have somebody who wants to go to college, they got money. They're looking to give away money, and that was a great thing because Cook really valued education. As he used to tell me, his first job was carrying encyclopedias door to door to sell them. I said, big deal. There were like 12 letters back then. And then I got a real stern lecture from Jack about that smart joke. Let's see. Amy says, lives in Detroit, but still a fan from Washington. Still hiding from the neighbors. Yeah, I bet. On there. I've been to Detroit a few times. Too cold for me. Steve, how many wins do you see for the Wizards? The Wizards? 500 team, I guess. I haven't studied them real hard, about a little bit. 500, which would be an improvement. Carrie says if they win less than 6 games, does Ron and staff stay? 5 or less? I think maybe Ron, but they'll have changed coordinators. Do you think they'll have the first overall pick? Asked Marvin. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Michael, the Wizards will probably win 45 games. All right, we're in the same ballpark on there. And mother and son paranormal, it kind of scares me, but they say hello. So hello back to if you're a ghost, leave me alone. No, I'm haunted by enough things. Sean, Ron is so stubborn. If you want Gus Frott on the stadium would surrender. Okay. I'm not sure what to make of that, but okay. It's probably funny. I'm just reading it too quick to get it on there. Jokes. We got jokes here. So what else? Oh, hey, we might as well I said I'd talk about the Terps. Since I'm a Maryland grad, I've been watching Terps football for 50 years. And it's always been fun, but whatever. We don't have quite the expectations. But they're 4-1. It takes a college coach about 3 years to get his recruits playing regularly, and that's where we are pretty much now with them. So maybe beat Michigan State was a legit win. They're not going to go for a national title or anything, but at least they could be 8-4 or something like that, or whatever games we have now. Do I think Lamar Jackson stays in Baltimore? Asked non-revisionists. Yeah, in the end of the day, they'll pay him. Mother and son paranormal hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. And shared out the stream, whatever that is. I don't always know how this works. I just know it works. Jeremy, how many here are old enough to have witnessed the glory days? So I don't know how many of you out there have been there. I was telling somebody today, who was the only person out at, I call it Redskin Park, whatever they're calling it now. They changed the name again. When I'm not there all the time anymore, but when I'm there, who's the only person in that whole building that was there for the 91 Super Bowl championship? The answer is me. I covered the game. There's no one else left in the media or on the team or working for the team, as far as I know. I think I'm it. Well, I have that to keep me warm at night. All right, James. I should try and get a scholarship from Jack grad school. I'm telling you, dude, go to Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. They are looking to put money in people's pockets. They have to give 5% of it out every year as part of it, and they got like 700 million endowment. It's 35 million a year in scholarships to people, and that was helping people get to grad school was Jack's thing. Jack was big on writers. I used to get more criticism from Cook. He'd call me up and say, "By God, you left a comma out of your story." I go, "No, I didn't." He goes, "Yes, right here. Let me explain this to you." I go, "That's an Oxford comma. That's optional, and newspapers don't use Oxford commas." And he goes, "By God, the English language is not optional." And then I get a lecture about it. I think we don't in newspapers just to save a piece of type from the old days, my guess. But that was one of my constant lectures from Cook. Let's see. Alton, it's a little bit awkward to call them burgundy and gold when they wear those black ones. Yes. And I would say, Alton, that really hit me if they're no longer the Redskins because they're not even wearing burgundy or gold or white. They're wearing black. They look like the Steelers JV team. What the heck was that about? I wasn't big on that. I know people like black, but no. Bruce said, born in 68. Remember glory years. Good for you. You're a young kid now. When you get old, you can call everybody else young. I'm older than Rivera, and I'm older than Dan, so I don't have to call him Mr. Steve, nice burgundy helmet on that book cover. Well, thank you. Yes, there it is behind me. The 100 things Commanders fans should know and do before they die. Can't even say my own book title. It's an updated version of the old Redskin one, and I literally have them here. I have an envelope right here, and if you buy it at monumentalthoughts.com, I'll take care of it personally and sign it. It's the only way to get them signed. If you care about that. So there goes my nose again. Money. Was Mayhew? Oh, you're right. No. Mayhew, I think, was gone for the 91. That's a good question. Somebody look that up. See, I think Mayhew was gone for the 91 season, but somebody can look that up. That'd be great. Michael says, one good off season when somebody knows what they're doing and they'll be right back in it. Well, maybe. One or two good drafts sometimes can really do it. I think their drafts have been okay. Do I think they'll put St. Just outside or continue with Jackson? Wouldn't surprise me if St. Just becomes outside more. That's what he's good at, and I don't know what Jackson's good at because for a while I thought it was man, but even yesterday I saw him getting beat on that. Mayhew was here. Okay, well then Martin and I were here, but Marty Herney was not. He was already. I think he was gone at that. Yeah, he was gone at that point. Newspapers also don't use leads. Well, yes. Well, no. Okay, I know what you're saying. Joanne says, keep running the ball. Well, if you're down 20-0, it's kind of hard to run the ball. So that's been one of their problems. Hoodoo says they should sign Landon. I know Landon was up with the Giants, but the Giants signed another linebacker. So I guess Landon's still available. James, when do you think Chase will be back? I'd say mid-season. I still think at least 2 more weeks. But wouldn't surprise me if it was, beginning of November, and that's pretty much a year rehab off an ACL. I know that they're all different. He's looking good, but when you hit people like he does, you got to be in one piece. So I wouldn't want to see him come back early, get hurt, and then his career goes blah. Let's see. When did Jack Kent Cooke come up with Camelot, Paul? Well, Kennedy's came up with Camelot more from the musical Camelot. Jackie Kennedy dubbed JFK's tenure there after he had died. She started calling it at the time was Camelot. And then that's always hung around our town. And so I'm sure Cook appropriated that. Corey says Jackson and Fuller need to be traded. Well, who's going to trade for him? And he can't be benched because who else you're putting up there, really? So you got to ride with him till the end. Is Art Monk still in the area? Asked non-revisionist. Yes, he's still around. He doesn't make a lot of personal appearances, but he is around. Occasionally he comes to things. Joanne, you can still run the ball when down. Stop using that old myth. Well, I will use that old myth because it's right. I mean, if you're a great running team and that's what you do best, Okay, but they're not a great running team. Byron Leftwich is the future, says Joanne. Interesting. I wouldn't say no. I'd have to think about it. I don't think Dan knows who Byron Leftwich is, but maybe I'm sure Marty does. Wow, caught up to you guys. Okay, finally. So, all right. And of course, the news today, Sadiq Charles is the starter at right guard. So, for all of us who get excited about that. Did I ever talk to A. Paul and ask Paul? Yeah, not a lot because I didn't cover his teams a lot. I spent one season covering the Caps and Wizards in the early 90s. And he was a good guy overall. It was a little hard to deal with at times, but, a lot of charity work that you never heard of. He put computers in all the DC schools at one time. I mean, dude put his money up, built his own arena with his own money, and helped the people in DC very much. Let's see. James wants Leftwich. Well, maybe we'll start campaigning for that. Jeremy, why didn't we stick with Taylor and use the offensive line? Well, that's one way to go, but the offensive linemen don't sell tickets, and this team needs to sell tickets. So they had to go quarterback. Name top 5 in the NFL right now. And quarterbacks, I still say Brady, not in any order. Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes. There's your 3 right there. I might say Lamar Jackson. I like him a lot. And I don't know. I'm not good at this when people do this. That's Grant Paulson does the list, not me. And Daniel Jones. There, that'll drive you all nuts. Go with Wild Goose at cornerback, says Sheldon. Okay, you're just punking us now, Sheldon. Not as good as the starters, but a fun name to say. Yes. And there's good headlines, dead ducks and all that stuff. But no, you're just punking us. All right, Ken says Dan needs to be run out of town. Well, I'm not for violence or anything. I'm about peace and love at my age because I'm getting too old to fight with people. But I agree that it would be nice for him to go somewhere else. Jeremy says hire Bieniemy. Yeah, I think he would be a real consideration if he wants to come here, but maybe he doesn't want to come here. I mean, he's got a sweet gig in Kansas City. He's had chances, I think, to go before. Maybe that's what he wants. We should fire Scott Turner, not Ron yet. Not yet. You do it now in the chaos of it, all that. I just don't. It never works. Anytime you fire a coach like, say Gruden, whatever, you get like a week or 2 bump, and then it goes back to whatever you were. James, who is the young guard that Mitch really likes? Don't know. Mitch is big enough to play guard. Redskins Bullets, don't know how we develop players, period. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that, Joanne. When will Carson be benched? No time soon, Al. RDC, he's here in the Philippines. There you go. Born in 56, fans in 65. All right, so you're the older guy. What happened to Larry Brown? Larry moved to, I think it's Charleston, South Carolina. I saw Larry about a year or so ago. He was one of my heroes growing up. And his wife had passed away recently, and he was wanting to move down south and some peace and quiet in his life. And so I wish him well. I believe he moved down there. Is there any risk of Dan moving the team to another city, non-revisionist? I'm sure you're going to hear that once in a while. I mean, Cook thought about moving to L.A. for a hot minute. Didn't, but he thought about it. So I'm sure it'll come up. Is there a legit hope for Jacoby in the Hall of Fame? Asked Sean. Yes, I think Joe Jacoby will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know when, but I think he will get there. And he's long overdue anyway. Wooboat says you can't call him Riverboat Ron ever again based on the first half ending. Yeah, that was a really strange play calling where they ran the ball and all that. Great Watubi, thanks for the stream. I appreciate it. Great Watubi tips. Be like the Great Watubi and hit that thanks button. $2, $5, or more. $1,000. I've heard you've heard these stories where people tip a server $1,000 to help change their life. Well, I'm all for trying it. All right, David, do you see Jason Wright taking on responsibility for football? No. No. Not because he doesn't have some football. Obviously, he played in the NFL, but he's the business guy. No. Alton, have I ever spoken with any of the hog farmers? Yeah, I have. And they seem like great guys. They work very hard with children's cancer. They raise money. They get these kids and give them a good time. God bless them. They are doing God's work. And I'm very happy that they want to be hogs. The old Hogs did the same kind of stuff too. So they've carried on that tradition. Good for them. How about Ricky Sanders? I have not seen Ricky in a while, Frank. So I don't know what he's up to. There you go. There's my nose again. Money. You want to write Joe's speech, says Michael. Yeah, man, that would be a while. Connor says, I'm great at what I do. Well, thank you, Connor. I appreciate it. Took a long time to be any good at this. Takes a long time to do all of it. I've been a newspaper man and journalist, whatever you want to say, for 44 years. I'm the longest running guy in DC now. How long, much longer do I have? I don't know. I'm thinking about what I want to do with the rest of my life. And I'm in my 60s and survived a health scare this year again. And we'll see. I'm making no decisions till after the season. Great Watubi, did I see the drama on the Lakers thing? No. I never have had a chance to watch it. I know Cook's in it for a hot minute, but I don't care. McBruno. Well, we don't talk about McBruno. Oh, wait a minute, Bruno. Okay, I guess we can talk about you. How was your week? Anything exciting happen? I am packing to get moving. We're building a new retirement home, my wife and I. We go to settlement end of this month, and I have been working my butt off. I painted the porch and walls all weekend when I wasn't doing the game, and we've boxed up over 200 boxes so far. I don't wish this on anybody. But after 35 years in one place, so we're excited. I'll do this. You'll see the studio change in the new place. It's got a really nice room. I'm going to do a studio, and I've got 3 acres. I'm going to get a dog again. Good stuff's coming. When would Jason Wright get fired, Marvin? They asked. I don't think that. I think Jason would leave before he was fired, and he hasn't done anything really to be fired over. So I think Jason be here as long as Jason wants to. Okay. Well, thank you, Connor. God bless you too. Paul says, what's the best tourist spot in D.C. to visit in the fall? Well, first off, D.C., the best time to visit D.C. is in the fall, from September, October. And we've seen a lot of people suddenly show up. It's the most I've seen since the pandemic started. I do a lot of tours lately in the Smithsonian's, taking people around. But the best tourist spot just depends on what you like, on there. So I don't know. It depends on what you like. But most of the stuff's outdoors, and it kind of runs the same. I do like Mount Vernon. I do like Arlington National Cemetery there. The Lincoln's a cool thing to see. So I just saw the Nathan Hale statue outside of the Department of Justice a couple of days ago. I found it. Nathan Hale was the guy who was hanged by the British during the Revolutionary War and said, my only regret is I have but one life to give my country. Then they hung him for spying. I finally saw the statue. It was pretty cool. There's always stuff like that around town. Best vegan meal you've ever tried? Well, my buddy Chuck Carroll took me to a place in Northern Virginia for like a vegan Thanksgiving. And I got to tell you, what we ate, we didn't have turkey, of course, but everything else, I would just think if I went to somebody's house, they just made it a little different. But it was fine. I try to eat a little better, and I eat some vegan stuff, but I'm not. And I don't eat a lot of red meat or anything. I had a heart attack 20 years ago. It kind of changed my taste buds. So I'm not relishing like a Greek burger or anything anymore, steak. I eat a lot more chicken and seafood. Joanne says Chase shouldn't come back this year. I don't know. I think if he's healthy, sure. Try and get him to play this year and then set him up for next year. Go to the Go-Go is real DC, Joanne. Well, yeah, okay. Go-Go is the thing in DC. That's what people do. Favorite away game city, asked Sean. Well, if it's like in the winter, Miami, man, the weather is so gorgeous. I like Phoenix. I think it's a nice college town where the stadium has been. I like that a lot. San Francisco is always my favorite. Always go early. I've been everywhere like 10 times. Nashville's kind of cool. There's a lot of music and fun at Nashville on there. But places like Dallas, nah. Giants, nah. Philly, nah. I don't like the division games, even if they're closer. Rick, I've been saying before the season started, never get your hopes up with this team. Horse 2X. Nah, man, it's all about living the dream. Try and be happy. Lately, the only thing, I missed that one. Steve says, the only thing I watch on YouTube more than Rick is This Week in NFL videos. Well, thanks. Wow, you watch it on TV with my big head or something? Okay. Hail to the Redskins, says Michael. There you go. I have a problem calling them Redskins at times. When I talk with my friends and we're talking about, we don't say Commanders, we say Redskins. It's going to be like that forever. I'm not going. They don't pay me to say Commanders. They pay me to write Commanders. But a lot of my friends, we still say Redskins. It's like we're in hidden code, like we're outlaws. The Monday night game just reminds us the coaching staff that got away. Well, they weren't ready for them. Well, somebody downstairs was a bad boy. You got your message deleted. So, yeah, Michael's taking care of that for me. Thanks, Mike. Is the new Commander Stadium going to be a dome? Asked Paul. It should be. I have a feeling it's not, but it should be. And if they want to do 100 events a year, it's got to be a dome. It'll come down to who's paying for what. Should be. Michael, no one comes here for financial advice. Somebody wanted financial advice? Okay, I didn't see that one. I can always tell you how to double your money. You take it, you fold it in half, put it back in your pocket, double your money. Let's see, Zach, haven't been to this since after the Jaguars game. A lot's changed. Yeah. Oh, okay. You haven't been here in a while. Yeah, things went kind of bad. But Bruno, what's the deal with Pimlico? They're fixing Pimlico up in Baltimore, the racetrack. They're actually going to turn the existing track, 30 degrees to the left. So some of the track will stay, and there'll be some parts of new ones. They're doing that so they open up more land for commercial development next to it as part of all this. So it's going to be a couple of years. I don't think they're moving to Preakness, though, but I'm not sure. They talked about it, sure, but they haven't. They were talking about moving it to Laurel for a year or two. They could. They've moved it to New York. I think it was the Civil War or something like that. It has happened. Nothing stays the same. Why was Jim Zorn chosen over Greg Williams, asked Kerry. Because Dan didn't like Greg Williams. He was intimidated by him. So that's why he took somebody he could control. And you saw how that turned out. Who do I see being the quarterback next year, says Jeremy. Well, if they hire a new coach for next year, they're going to draft somebody because that's what new coaches do. If not, if they stay with Ron, maybe Hal. Maybe Carson. I don't know. There's a long ways to go for that. Did I interview the old ball coach when he was here in Washington? Asked Rabbi TV. Yeah, I was covering the beat. And I had a heart attack the week of his first game. And luckily the staff saved my life. And I was gone for a few weeks. And I come back and ball coach goes, "Hey, where you been?" I'm like, well, I had this heart attack thing. So Saturday, he tells me that he's going to start a different quarterback. Now I can't remember his name. You guys remember it, the third stringer. And I just said, why do you start him? I think he just give me this classic, well, it gives us the best chance to win, that BS. Instead, he started yelling at me about because I'm the ball coach and you shouldn't be asking me this and And he walked away and then he stopped and turned around and apologized for being a jerk. And I said, I just survived a heart attack. I don't care what you say. Say what you want. And we both laughed and we never had a hard word again about it. So I had no bad feelings about ball coach. He was who he was. Wasn't the right pick. Will the mayor of D.C. Be willing to try to get the Commanders back to D.C., asked Paul? Only if it's in their political interest. I mean, Mayor Bowser looks to get reelected. So it's up to her. But the city council really is the one that decides this because they're the money. So I don't think I still say it now. Bezos or somebody comes around. Okay. So do you guys get these constant updates from the Washington Commanders? They must update like 10 times sending me this. Joe Anthony's Ron's gone this year. Disagree. Maybe next year. Heineke or Wentz? Asked McBruno. Wentz. Outlaw King. What would be the ideal offseason for the Commanders? Well, if they keep Ron, they've got to go spend some money in free agency, which they haven't done in a while, and I wonder why. But they got to go get some linemen. Got to get a corner. I mean, they got to spend all that cash. That's what in the draft, whatever you didn't get in free agency. What is Jim Zorn doing these days? Asked Steve. Nothing. I think he's just living a retired life at this point. RDC. Either the Commanders playing the Super Bowl this season. They're going to play Buffalo. It's going to be a rematch of that 91 title game, and they're going to win. So, sorry, Buffalo, you get heartbroken again, and Washington wins. There you go. Why not? All right. All right, Michael. Let's see. The great white TV there is no easy fix for all the bad personnel from Ron in one season. Right. It's like 2 or 3 years to really fix. But they're not the barren. It's not as barren as when Ron took it over. Maybe there's more decent players I think on this roster than there were in the past. Was Jason Campbell ever any good? Asked Vision. Yes, I thought he was a guy who got caught up in constant coaching changes, and it cost him some. I tell you what, you take him now over Carson. I think Jason was underappreciated. Have I lost confidence in Ron Rivera? Asked Paul. As a man, I greatly respect Ron Rivera. As a coach, I think the game has gone by him, and I appreciate everything he did here, and I think it's time for them to pick somebody new. Do I think FedEx will be full with Titans fans? Asked Paul. I don't know how many Titans fans there are, but it always surprises me sometimes how many visiting fans are around. Like when Detroit a couple years ago came, or the Chargers didn't bring many. Not Chargers. I'm sorry, Jacksonville didn't bring very many to the first game. So I'm not sure how many expatriates of Tennessee are here. But I expect a small crowd, 30,000 or so overall. Well, Ovi passed Gretzky, asked McBruno. Absolutely. I mean, barring an injury, yeah, just stick around and do it. I love Ovi. He's a fun guy. You can follow him on Instagram. His wife, I think, has it up, and they show pictures of them and the boys, and they're in Russia and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Zach says, why did they wait until the middle of the Cowboys game to take out Trey Turner? Because they finally had enough. They just couldn't take it anymore. But that was an unusual thing. Michael thinks Ovi's playing until he's 60. I don't know about that, but he looks 60 with all that gray. Notice I don't have much gray. I don't have much hair, but whatever I got isn't at least gray. I said, if I end up this bald like my dad and I end up with gray hair, man, that's just cruel. What are the chances of winning this weekend? 50-50. They could. Maybe they get ticked off at themselves and play better this week on there. Jeremy says, do you think the players care that the fans don't come to games anymore? Not really. I mean, they would like to see them there, but I don't think they sweat it. I don't think, some of them would like to see more people, but a lot of it's lip service. Will Dave be fired from the Nats after the season? Well, it depends on the owner. New owner can pick who he wants on there. So we got a few minutes left. Man, this hour goes by quick, doesn't it? I certainly appreciate everybody coming. And you can, of course, watch the videos morning and evening, usually. Sometimes middle of the day, like today, I'll do updates. And Seasons of Discontent is also on YouTube. It's my 15-minute podcast with my buddy Matt. We talk about things a little longer than 2 minutes, that kind of thing. Is Eric Flowers willing to come back? I have not heard non-convinced. That's been something discussed lately. What was the deal with McNabb when they got him? How did he get so bad so quickly? Asked Steve. Because his career was done, and he just came because of the money. I mean, trade, but yeah, he was done. When Sean Payton come to Washington, asked Outlaw King. Boy, that would be sweet. We'd get Sean Payton. He's going to go somewhere next season. We could say go get him if you can. He'd be good. He'd be really good to get. I like that one. That's my new front runner. Thanks, Outlaw. So we got a couple minutes left. Hit that thanks button while you still can. Well, you can always do it, but if you want to throw a few bucks, some of you have been here the whole time. Throw the old sports writer a tip in the jar. I would appreciate it. I hate being a whore, but what do I have left? Here, Landon Collins is talking to the Giants. Yeah, but they signed another linebacker, so I don't know if they're going to go with Landon. Or it could be that they do it later. We'll see. Wouldn't mind Tomlin, says Jeremy. Yes, but that's not happening. Tomlin's a stand-up guy. Never had a losing season. That's pretty hard to do. Can't wait to hear Matt on the Dallas game, says Paul. Yeah, Seasons of Discontent with my partner Matt. Known each other. I've known him all his life. He hasn't known me all my life. But Matt was pretty fired up too. Great White Tube said Tomlin would have a losing season here. So maybe that's one reason why he doesn't come here. But I don't think I think he'll retire from Pittsburgh on there. He's been, that good. Let's see. What do we have left? Well, give you a better view. Wow. I knew that would fall down. Security. All right. So 100 things Commanders fans should know and do before they die. You can get it at Monumental Thoughts untitled.com. It's my website. And I'll sign it for you. Put it in this envelope right here. See, this is how book publishing is done anymore. By hand, unless you're Stephen King. So if you want to buy the book, hey, Christmas is coming, less than 3 months. Give it to the Commanders fan in your life on there. Zach, if the Commanders lose to the Titans and the O-line's bad, do we chalk the season up? Or do they make trades or stuff? Well, I don't see them making any trades. It's not like baseball. So I don't see that. And there's no real free agents. I'm sorry. No free agents out there that are like, oh, there's a Pro Bowler. Let's go get him. And just aren't there. There aren't enough good players to begin with. Best ice cream place to go, asked Paul. That's Hover Mails in Oxon Hill, 5 minutes off the Beltway. Been going there since 1962. And best soft serve ice cream. Hard ice cream. I like the Hershey's place. There's a Hershey's ice cream store right next to the Georgetown Theater in Georgetown. And awesome. I like their ice cream a lot. The service there is great. So I like that. There's a soft serve. There's a food truck that has soft serve right in front of the Natural History Museum, which is on Constitution Avenue. And I haven't had it, but I've seen people walk by with cones and thought, ooh, that looks good. How much do the bells they use in boxing cost? I have no idea. Mine's a little smaller, but I don't have to hit it. I'm not hitting it over a crowd. Some days gravity just sucks, says David. Yeah, I know. It's pulling me down too much. On the moon, I'd weigh a lot less. Paul Holland, if you could fix one thing on the Commanders, what would it be? Offensive line, defensive line, quarterback? Quarterback. If you were going to give me a superstar player to bring here, then I want the quarterback, because he'll make up for other things. Offensive line or D-line, that's just one of a few guys. Quarterbacks alone make all the difference. Alton Beal. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're supposed to talk about this. The Braves are changing. Alton wants to know, why did the Braves get away with the tomahawk chop and all that stuff, and Washington had to get rid of it? Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Now, the Cleveland Indians finally had to give up their name, and the Guardians is just dumb too. But yeah, Atlanta Braves get away with this, and so the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody says jack to them about it. So I think part of that is the owner, But the American Indians have been arguing about the name since the 91 Super Bowl they came to, January 92. So, yeah, totally unfair. Great Watubi says a good quarterback can mask a bad O-line. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Brady. Brady's team isn't good enough around him this year, I think, in Tampa, for them to make a real run. But when you have Brady, you always have a puncher's chance on there. Yeah, I think this has got to be Brady's last year. I enjoy watching him. I mean, this is the GOAT. Why wouldn't you want to watch that? If I could have saw Mickey Mantle or Babe Ruth play, I'd have watched them too, even at the end of their career. John was a big hitter. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you stepping up. Be more like John out there. Why are no Viking complaining about that team's name? I don't know. I think they like it. I mean, I remember last time they were at FedEx, they're going Skull or something, and they're blowing horns, and that kind of thing. We could argue about everything. We could take George Washington owned slaves. Do we want to change the name of our town? Are they going to tear down the Washington Monument? Good luck with that. You're going to need a transformer to do that. I don't know. We pick weird fights some days. Paul, catching a lot of slack from people saying that they hate the Commander's name, even your heart doctor. Yeah, my heart doctor talks about him too. Every doctor I come to, they want to talk sports because they're bored looking at people sick all day. And I'm like, okay, we'll talk about this, but I want to talk about why I'm here too. Hey man, how do I feel? Am I okay? Yeah, you're fine. Anyway, about that tight end. Dude, this happens to me all the time. And I've finally made peace with that. I used to tell my kids, tell your friends' parents I'm a plumber. I don't want to talk about Redskins all the time. But I've made peace with it and realized that covering this team was a real blessing and an honor to do my whole life. I've been around them since 30, 40 years. And it's not easy. Especially losing, but so much of my life has been around this team, and a lot of good things have come to me because I covered this team. So whenever I retire, I walk away smiling from the experience. And hey, I grew up watching them, so I got to meet a lot of my heroes as a kid. It's been a good deal. I won't complain. Carrie says Gary Clark's numbers are almost identical to Michael Irvin's, and he has 2 rings. Why didn't he get the Hall of Fame? Correct. I think Gary Clark should be. I don't know if the USFL thing is why they don't want to do it, but you add up his USFL numbers too, and he has like 700 catches. And it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not the NFL Hall of Fame. I think it's unfair that Gary is not in there. All right, Alt wants to know Garoppolo or Wentz. Well, I would have gone Garoppolo early. I don't know that the team, contrary to that report, was really into Garoppolo, but just because, like Ron said, I never talked to anybody doesn't mean somebody else didn't. People play that game. And I know Mike Irvin was a Dallas Cowboy, and that's why he's in over Gary. And you're right about that. Steve, some wide receivers pay a heavy price for not being cocky and loud. Yeah, that's part of the game, isn't it? I mean, ask Antonio Brown on that, what it's like. Ooh, I'm down to 7% battery. I got to be done in a minute. Yeah, ask who was it that was naked in the pool? About today. Okay, what can I say? That's weird. All right, Brown. Yeah, it was Brown. Okay, yeah, it wasn't Art Monk. Why isn't Terry not open a lot more? I think he is. They're just they're not seeing him as much. He doesn't have time to see Terry. If you had Terry farther down, Carson hasn't had the time to get there. That's probably why on it. Yeah, it's crazy how this thing works. So, all right, I guess what is it, 9:06, and we had a good crowd tonight. So yeah, good amount of people. If you're watching this on replay, it will start over again on YouTube. As soon as we finish, it takes a minute and then it starts again. So if you missed the early part and want to watch, you can watch all of this. And Seasons of Discontent's probably going to be up any minute too. Matt's putting it up. A lot of content. And then tomorrow I can go and just go tour guiding for the day. And that's about it, guys. So I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thank you all for coming today. Appreciate it all. Appreciate everybody that hit the tip jar on thanks. That helps keep me fed. So far, it's been doing well. But now the lights are getting dim and everything on me. So I do appreciate it. Thanks, Alton, for coming. Thanks, Michael, for all the moderation. Hopefully, we don't seem to have the trolls as much anymore. Thank you, Paul. I feel like the lady at the end of Romper Room, if any of you remember that. I see Danny and Stevie and Billy and Bob. Just talking about that with somebody yesterday. It was a show. It was in D.C. where the woman we were all like, 3 to 6 years old. She'd hold up a tennis racket in front and pretend she could see us all through the TV. And she would just say generic names like Ricky. And I'm like, oh, she saw me. So, I'm seeing the great Watubi. There's probably 5 or 6 of you out there. Marvin, thank you so much for coming by. Oh, yeah, crush on her, Steve? Yeah. Ranger Howe, I liked him too, man. I didn't get Mr. Green Jeans because I didn't have a color TV. So I never knew Captain Kangaroo until, I swear, like a month ago, I saw a picture of Mr. Green Jeans with green jeans. And I was like, oh, boy, that dumb, huh? But we didn't have a color TV back then. I didn't know Lucy's hair was red. But I did get to meet Ranger Howe once. It was cool. I wanted to be a U.S. park ranger. If I hadn't done this, I was going to be a park ranger. I've made the choice. That's how much I love our national parks and being outside. So, yeah. Paul's with us. Hey, thanks, Paul, for coming in. Oh, Mike was on it as a kid. Oh, rich kid, had connections. You had to know somebody, I think, to be in that audience. Channel 5, I think, or Channel 20. It was one of the two. They don't have any fun stuff like this anymore on TV. For my grandkids don't. They live a different life than I did, but they should on it. All right. I did play Rock'em Sock'em Robots with my grandkids, and one of my granddaughters, why are you beating me? I kept knocking the block off. I was like, because I'm better at this than you. But keep going. You'll get better. So, yeah, playing Rock'em Sock'em. Played with my 2-year-old. He managed to hit my block off. And he's like, yes. You'll read about him one day. He's going to be a baller. All right. Anyway, I should go. I'm down to 2% or something battery-wise. So, before I fade away, I'll be back next Monday. Every Monday, 8 to 9. On this, and except for Halloween, and that's not because I'm going trick-or-treating, but because I'm moving on there. So thank you, everybody, and we're done. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.